Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is to go into a little bit more in depth in terms of how to release the ruminating thoughts, the intrusive thoughts that can come after a relationship with someone who is psychopathic. And this is from a gentleman who had a close relationship with a female psychopath. One thing that's important to understand is that the ruminating thoughts and the intrusive thoughts are oftentimes as a result of being in a relationship with someone who is psychopathic, a female psychopath in this situation. It's important to understand that this individual has gotten, to understand how to undo that and get these recurring and intrusive thoughts kind of, tamed down, under control, so that they're not problematic and they're not running your life, is to understand that they got in place oftentimes through the emotional state of fear. And that, and that this was the authority or end all be all. And it got very close to your just sort of I just want to say your weaknesses or your needs or your survival. We're talking about intraspecies predators when we're talking about a female psychopath. We are talking about somebody who is going for the jugular. They do not stop. They are relentless. It's a full sweep, full momentum forward when they are targeting you, when you are in the scope of their mind's eye to just sort of suss out and have their way with. And so it's very much like a cat and a mouse, the way a cat will sort of, be there in the corner and just sort of their eyes are like this and they're sort of gazing upon it and they know just, where to sort of bite it, where to pat it, where to roll it around and get it, as to a toy, but not quite, all the way bitten, if you will. So it's very much like that state where a cat has sort of pounced on you and gotten their claws in you, gotten their talons in you, gotten under your skin and taken you over, so to speak. And they do this through the energy that they exude. It's important to understand that the emotional energy around these people creates an electrical field. It's important to understand that as a human being, your body does have energy. Your body creates heat. It has electrical signals. Your heart has a lot of electrical signals. Your brain as well. You have a lot of energy. And so human beings, though, who are psychopathic, there's a different energy field around them. It has the ability to sort of change and get your attention without it even speaking up. It's something that you can feel. It's something that your subconscious, which oftentimes is not understood, it is not lived in, you're not subconsciously, what am I going to do today? People don't think, about that. And so it's something that you feel on the subconscious level, meaning, have you ever been in a room and then you just feel that someone was looking at you and then you turned around and then there was someone looking at you? This happened to me even though it was a baby. Someone was carrying a baby and this baby was just fascinated with me and just kept looking at me. And I just picked this up, even though I didn't hear the baby talk, cry, but I could feel that little baby's looking at me. And even though it was a positive, it wasn't, but the intraspecies predator. So once again, it's a feel state that you don't know, you've never felt, acknowledged. You don't have the tools, coping skills to identify it. It just sort of takes you over, as if there was a broad sweep, as if there was a fishing net that just was cast out in the ocean, and it just sort of see what it could scoop up. That's kind of what their energy is like. It just sort of encapsulates you. It can create sort of an emotional glue or an emotional prick. It can feel like a sting. It can feel like a scorching, if you're very, very sensitive or if you have learned to identify it. when you're around them, because the energy field you're going to feel around them is very different. It can be very extreme, very seductive, very alluring, very appealing. These words that, it can be like glue. I think the word to use is transfixed, where people feel like mesmerized by the energy, the men or women who are mesmerized by a female psychopath. There's sort of emotional glue, and it's a very strange energy. I mean, this is a very esoteric topic, but it has the ability, the way that their energy exudes, it has the ability to sort of change the way things appear in the environment, the meaning, the way you feel about things, look at things, your perspective on the subconscious. And so it has really gotten, it's a creation of a connection for you at the subconscious level, which you are not aware of. You're not able to put words to or identify its inner workings. So it's like having a rapid heartbeat, but you don't know it's there and you don't know how to calm it down. It's just sort of, and it can be very pleasurable in the beginning. In other words, you fall in love with this person. You become enamored with this person. You become, what's the other word? Mesmerized. You become just sort of infatuated. You become fascinated. There's an enigma, something very unique about this person. An enigma, basically like a puzzle to them. The way that you just sort of have these epiphanies, maybe, that of the way the psychopath communicates. In other words, the energy in their environment. And I know we have a lot of people who have experienced this. And, as I say here, if you get this, you can just, comment, I get it. It's an experience that not everybody has experienced, or known that they have experienced, if you've been really, targeted by a con man, a psychopath, a female psychopath. And it creates, the intrusive thoughts and the is because of this brainwashing at that subconscious. So they can do things that plant and influence you at the subconscious level, which you're not aware of, so you don't have any control over, is what I'm trying to suggest. So if you don't see it coming, like if you're batting, if you're swinging at a ball and a bat, you can see it coming and then you can adjust, but it's like you don't see it coming. You just sort of, all of a sudden you wake up one day and you go, whoa, this is not good. This is getting too much. We're at that breaking point right now. So it's not something that you can ever, so you have to understand your innocence in this, and, your humanness in this, and your realness and your true heart in this, is that there's nothing you could have done. Nothing could have prepared you. There's nothing you could have known beforehand, before you experienced this and you found this as an issue within you. So it's important to understand that part of life is, is experiencing different things, and this is an experience. So, it's not almost even a relationship, it is an experience. So there's nothing that you could have done to see it coming, to have any control or influence over it. It's because this is who they are, and this is just what they do. And it's an interspecies predator, so it's very much undetectable, that you don't see it coming, and it can really be very severe at that subconscious level, meaning there's certain either very high states that you felt, hyper arousal. These women will communicate in ways that cause you to sort of override your own rationale, your own balanced way of thinking, and your usual value system. They cause people to be sort of kind of numbed out to it, or just sort of propagated into seeing and feeling things that they don't feel control over, but they just continue to allow to cycle. So this feeling of loss of control is because it's at that subconscious level where you didn't have control in the beginning. So it's important to sort of be able to reflect back through the role of metacognition and to think about what you're thinking about and sort of reflect back to understand that there is nothing you could have done to have prevented this. That doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you stupid. It doesn't make you dumb. It doesn't make you naive. It doesn't make you foolish. All the negatives, defeated. Of course, you're going to legitimately feel like I would say more of a state of shock, and that's, the feeling. It's like shock, and then it's very much a fear and like, I don't know what to do, like a feeling of resourcelessness. But it's important to stop, and so these are natural sort of, that create the post-traumatic stress syndrome, that create the feeling of things in your world are not right and you don't know how to fix them. I mean, it can be a very terrorizing state once you've been sort of hyper aroused by this individual. They could have made great inroads with you in your life, in your business, in your home, in your, creating a second or third life that you didn't know about, that, you thought that they were the real deal. I mean, all of it can be very shocking. And so it creates this brainwashing effect where, there's a false reality going on that they create. It's deliberate. It is precalculated. They know the effect that they're having. They know that they are it's not in your best interest. They know that they have quote unquote won, and that they always want, gives them the juice. This makes them puffed up. This makes them feel like, the one on top of it all. It makes them feel like that they are just going on the up and up, and whatever they want, they can have. So it's a feeling of not only entitlement, but it's more of a brazen, because they don't feel any sort of sense of moral wrong. Even if they hurt people, they don't feel bad, which is very difficult for men to grasp about women, because there's all this, women are sensitive, women are emotional, women need caring, they're the softer, so there's all this sort of feeling. So men cut a lot of flack or a lot of slack or a lot of leeway. And, women knows best, there's all these different things, or, this, falling for someone's good looks, whatever it is, it can lead to a lot of chaos though. But the intrusive thoughts are there because supplanted in the subconscious is their distraction, where they've sort of broken you down and wanted you as their target to be led or misled, to be there for them in a specific period of time to fulfill a specific need, that you were there like just for a temporary part, and that they see things unravel, but they have no intention of sort of keeping it together. In other words, the promises that they make, and then the way that they communicate, there's a certain change of meaning or change of perspective that takes place, that causes a sort of the way that I feel, and this is very intense, but it creates a false connection in the mind of those people who are brainwashed. They've been sort of re-educated to believe and trust, someone who is not in their best interests, and have a loyalty to or a commitment to. And it's the fall of the emotions. It's the fall of your relationships oftentimes. So if they're going to make sure that you don't have any other relationships, that you don't have any other influences, that you have let go of your values. So you're now feel resourceless because they've separated you from your internal resourcefulness. And the communication from someone who is psychopathic is filled with so many pathological lies. And then but more so, even so, the energy that causes your own focus to be sort of altered, like a lens, like a camera lens and it's very strange, and we've talked about this before. So ordinary things like this might just sound very strange, but the way that they communicate, for an example, like the orange here, this might then become orange or orange juice that's then spread and that, our relationship is so juicy, and it's through this period of time, and then they'll sort of just sort of use their body to create these really strange connections that then rewire the attention of the male into that, while they're sort of trying to hyper arouse in this state. In other words, it's like a very sort of sardonic, sort of state where they just sort of create this new aura, if you will. And the problem is that they will then keep you on the flip of who you are, so you'll become sort of not recognizing yourself. In other words, your own natural organic state is not functioning. And they'll get you to worry about things, think about things, become certain things for them that they feel that you need to be, and then you accept this or somehow go along with it. And then, but meanwhile, you don't realize that you're being separated from yourself, which is a very terrifying state for a lot of people. And they can't find that they can't restore just sort of the thought patterns that they are comfortable with. They feel that they've just sort of, it's because of a lot of neurochemicals that it's like, in my mind, it's like a beaker, like in your science class. You should not combine all these different neurochemicals. You're going to get a bad mismatch. You're going to get a bad reaction from these. And so that is what you are experiencing. It's a hyper aroused state. So the female psychopath will hyper arouse their victims through communication, through touch, through seduction, through the psychopathic gaze, the reptilian gaze, which is, and then the energetic aura. I can't stress that enough, that there is a different energy that has the ability to sort of shape and pervert and distort and transfix the meaning of things. It's a very strange, it might sound very strange to say that, but for people who have been there, they get it. And so that's why it's very difficult to heal from these relationships, because not everybody understands the resultative state, just sort of the quote unquote captive state, captured state of this. It's, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it. A lot of people just think, oh, well, this person just was not reliable, they just weren't a good person, just move on. They don't get the effect that it has on your own experiential state. They don't get it. So oftentimes then that state can remain in unrepaired. And so it's important that you understand that you have to recover sort of your own senses and your own values and your own normalcy, and go, whoa, okay, and then be able to understand that is the causing of the brainwashing, because it's this female has influenced you so deeply at the subconscious that it's not you running your system. It's like a virus in your hard drive. And it's because of the energy around them. So you literally need to get away from their energy. You have to get away from their energy. Their energy it has like an aftershock, just like and I'll use a lot of analogies, to explain this, because it's very difficult to relate to, I think. But it's just like if there was a earthquake, and there's still like aftershocks that are sort of rumbling underneath the Earth's surface. That's what the ruminating thoughts and the brainwashing is. It's like an aftershock. It's like an electrical system within you that's still cycling, and it will get better with time. It will get better with time. It might take 18 months to, 18 months, I say is the bare minimum, for you to feel restored. And then maybe even 24, to 36 months to even beginning to feel more and more like yourself. And then I would say 48 months for you to feel even stronger and be, and have that just sort of backbone back, your values back, your clarity back, and be an improved version of you, after that. But the ruminating thoughts, you have to understand that that's your body trying to say, are you prepared? Do you get this? And it's almost like trying to give you the opportunity to flush it out of the system. It's just running itself out. And so allow it to allow it to work its way out, and don't try to reinforce it, and just keep don't try to keep those ruminating thoughts going. Sweep them out. You have to have you have to be able to diffuse it, and you have to be able to say, no, other direction, no, other direction, back. You have to be able to say, I'm, not my energy, not my energy, not my feeling, not my vibe, and not own it, not identify with it. I don't identify with the guilt. I don't identify with the fear. I don't identify with making I don't identify with this type of relationship. That is not in my best interest, and thank you very much. You have to be able to put an end to those, to that cycle, and be able to have that internal dialogue and breathe through it and know it and believe in it. But if part of you still feels like, oh, part of me is still vulnerable, then you need to patch that up. You have to realize, if part of you still feels vulnerable, you need to give that a little bit of attention and say, nope, I've got this here. I am complete. I am whole. I can view perspective now in the way that is true, real, and proper meaning, rather than the hyper-aroused, distorted meaning. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace out. Have a beautiful day.